Did someone say first take in the afternoon?
You want some of this?
Wait. I get to battle Stephen A. in the midday?
You want some of this?
Cutting it close to your bedtime. You gonna be okay?
Step into me, kid, then you go.
Guys, please save it for tomorrow. That's right, 2 afternoon special editions of First Take starting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern only on ESPN. Don't miss it.
Nothing better than 2 first takes in one day. Hello, welcome back to this First Take, coming to you live from the Seaport District in New York City, brought to you by Chase. Woo, Scottie Pippen has been chirping last week, calling out KD and Doc Rivers, and even First Take. And then yesterday on the Dan Patrick Show, Pippen discussed the 1994 play in which Phil Jackson drew up a game-winning play for teammate Tony Kukoc instead of himself, and had some very harsh words. Listen.
Have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, Perk. What's your reaction to these comments?
Well, first of all, every time I see a photo, a video of Scottie, he has the damn bourbon sitting right on the side of him. And so with that being said, that's one thing that's disturbing to me. And I'm being dead serious right now, okay? Look, I don't understand what's going on with Scottie right now, and I really don't care. Seems like he's just venting, he's letting it all out. Maybe he need a reality show, I don't know. Real Housewives of Atlanta may need to, talk to him, or whatever the case may be. I don't care. But to call Phil Jackson a racist.
Well, I feel like Perk and I are probably on the same page here. I don't know Phil Jackson. He may be a racist, but I don't think that it's fair to call him racist because he drew up a play for Tony Kukoc. He drew up a lot of plays for Michael Jordan, and I think that Perk was on to something. Scottie trying to sell this liquor hard. I hope somebody buy it, because he's saying all types of crazy stuff. All the way back to last week, where he did an interview for GQ with Tyler Tynes. He was talking crazy about KD. He coming at everybody. He trying to get some attention for this book or this liquor. I don't know what he wants people to buy, but please buy it so he will stop saying crazy stuff on TV and in print, because I can't get it. You could point to something else that Phil Jackson has done. You maybe even point to Phil Jackson calling LeBron's crew a posse, but drawing up a play for Tony Kukoc. Kukoc can shoot. That ain't a bad idea. We never thought about Scottie as like the game closer type of guy. I understand being offended by that. I understand being mad, but taking a leap from that to saying the man is racist, it could be a long jump. And again, I don't know. Maybe Phil is racist, but he ain't racist because he drew up a play for Tony, one of the best European players we've seen in the NBA.
Right, and I've been around Phil Jackson a few times, played against him. I played with Derek Fisher in Oklahoma City, who won championships with Phil Jackson, and he had nothing but high praise for Phil. He said Phil was a great coach, great guy to be around. He was down to earth. So far as me knowing him as being a racist, I never heard any of his players call him that. But I will say this. I did start looking at Phil a little sideways when he addressed LeBron James, Maverick Carter, Randy, and Rich Paul, and called his crew and called LeBron James a group of people, some very intelligent, wealthy guys, African American guys, a posse. I did have a problem with that. But right now, this is all about Scottie Pippen. This is nothing about Phil Jackson. This is about Scottie Pippen and what the hell is going on with him. Somebody need to find him, have a conversation, or sit down. I don't know what's happening with Scottie, but God bless his heart. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think the best read on this is Scottie understands the media. And Scottie understands the more inflammatory things he says, the more attention he's going to get. And once we get him attention, then we can see that bottle that's sitting next to him. He can sell some of that, or he can sell the books or whatever. That's all he's trying to do. He's trying to make a couple dollars, and we helping him by doing that. So he did the right thing. He's saying wild stuff so we can come on and talk about it.
Well, I tell you what, Dominique and Charlie, if that bourbon is going to have you speaking crazy like that, I don't want no parts of it.
I don't know. I feel like most bourbons could have you speaking crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not a bourbon girl, but I feel like I've seen a thing or two in my day.
I wasn't before the pandemic started, but man, we had to get through it somehow, Charlie. We had a little bourbon, but I ain't messing with that Scottie bourbon. That Scottie bourbon a little too strong for me.
Yeah,
but,
a little too strong. A little too strong for everybody. Okay, well, we'll leave. You have something else you want to say, Perk?
No. You got it, Charlie.
Okay, all right, we'll leave that drama there
Scottie
because
bourbon hit different.
it does hit different. Because we actually have more drama that we're going to have to discuss coming up on First Take, believe it or not. Because the most important player in Game 4 tonight?
Oh, it's easy. We just saw him. That guy limping back from the locker room. Trey is the only guy that matters for that Hawks team. You can look over at the Bucks and you can see like a legitimate big three. And I mean no disrespect to the guys on the Hawks team, but they don't really have a legitimate big three. They got Trey and a bunch of really, really good young role players who are rising to the occasion. But if Trey doesn't show up, they don't stand a chance. Like, if he's not close to 100%, like, I get it. Nobody's 100% this time of year. But if he's limping around, hobbling, and not getting lift on his shot like he was in the fourth quarter of that last game, they don't stand a chance. Like, he's got to run that pick and roll and hit those little teardrops and set those alley-oops up to set up the open shots for guys on the perimeter. Like, that is their offense. So if he doesn't show up, they're an entirely different team. But I can look over on the other side, and you could take one or two of those guys off the team and still have somebody that you can build a team around. So I don't know. I assume we're having this topic because Kendrick disagrees, but I'm not sure how you can possibly disagree with that. Like, they're the most important person in this game is obviously Trae Young, right?
Well, no, not right. I mean, look, you said a lot of good things, and I'm not totally disagreeing with you. Trae Young is the most important player to the Atlanta Hawks, and that's the obvious, right? But who's picked to win this series? The Milwaukee Bucks. Who has the most talent? The Milwaukee Bucks. Who has the big three? The Milwaukee Bucks. Only two of those guys have shown up, and that's Chris Middleton and Giannis. Drew Holiday. Where in the hell are you, okay? You are supposed to be one of the best two-way players in the game today. Right now, you're not guarding anybody because Trae Young is having it his way. I believe he dropped 40 on you in game one or whatever the case may be. He's probably averaging around 35 or 36 in the goddamn series. Where are you on the defensive side of things? Offensively, Trae Young? What are you doing? I mean, Drew Holiday, what are you doing? Trae Young is a smaller guard. Take him to the low block. We all know how gifted Trae Young is offensively, but defensively, he can't guard a parked car. 2 for 11. They brought him here to be the one to get them over the hump. Drew Holiday, where are you? You are nowhere to be found right now. I'm seeing too many careless turnovers, too many missed layups, just playing careless basketball. You have to deliver. If Drew Holiday elevates his game, the Bucks win this game tonight, and they win the series in great fashion. That's why Drew Holiday, in my opinion, is the most important player in this series.
I think Drew definitely wants to step up. And I think the Bucks want to see him step up, but you're arguing against yourself a little bit right there. They win in the series without him showing up in the way that you expect him to be. So to me, that kind of proves the point that he is not nearly as important as Trae Young is. We saw what happened to that team when Trae Young went out, and we all know what will happen to that team if Trae Young can't do the things that he's been doing. So I'm with you. Drew Holiday, we expect more from him given how much they gave up to get him and given what they expect from that team, but they expect to win the series. They're on track to win this series, so it's hard for me to I guess you could say there's more pressure on Drew Holiday because they have these expectations, but it's hard for me to say that he's more important than Trae Young, and honestly, it's hard for me to say he's more important than Middleton or Giannis because they're winning on the backs of Middleton, on the back of Giannis, and the only game that the Hawks won and their only chance of winning is if Trae Young shows up and plays like the superstar that he has become this year in the playoffs. So Drew Holiday is important, but not that important.
Dominique, you really need to stop, man. You really need to stop. They paid this man $160 million. You don't think he's that important? He's pretty damn important, okay? And for the simple fact is this, and I'm going to go back to the defensive side of things. He's supposed to be able to come in and neutralize Trae Young. Drew Holiday, acts around the NBA, well respected, one of the most underrated defenders in the league, first team all defense. You are not supposed to be letting Trae Young hang 40s and 35s on you. If Trae Young don't get injured, I don't know which direction that game would have went in. But I know one thing, Trae Young was controlling the game. The Hawks had control before Trae Young twisted his ankle. So with that being said, Drew Holiday, that's your matchup. That's your position. You're the point guard. And then on the other end, you're running the show. You're supposed to be that third option guy or even at times the second option guy. You can't be delivering 2 for 11 when you have Trae Young or Hurd or whoever else is trying to guard you. You are better than that. It's just not getting it. It's not good enough. You're the deciding factor.
Yeah, I don't know how Drew Holiday can be first team all defense and underrated. Maybe he should have been defensive player of the year. I don't know. Maybe he is still underrated even though he's first team defense. But I think you made a great point. The Hawks were on track for winning that game until Trae got hurt. And Drew Holiday hasn't contained Trae. The reason why they brought him in there is to contain players like that. So I think that is fair. I think you can expect more from him, and 2 for 11 is not. Go ahead, Perk.
Dominique, Drew Holiday is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. If you ask around the league, they'll tell you that. He don't get enough praise. Yes, he made first team all defense. I get that, or whatever the case may be. But when you ask around the league, they'll tell you, hey, Drew Holiday don't get enough credit for what he brings to the table. And he was brought to this team from the New Orleans Pelicans in the trade for Eric Bledsoe to move the needle and elevate the Milwaukee Bucks to get them over the hump, okay?
Look, you're both right.
They are getting over the hump.
Trae Young's offense and Drew Holiday's defense, because the Hawks right now, they're 4-1 in the postseason when Trae Young scores 35 points or more. They're 5-5 when he fails to score at least 35 points. So you both made very good points. You're both right. What do you know?
Oh,
all right, let's
so nice,
move on because, listen, it has been